What's up, everyone? Welcome to This Day in Philly Sports History for March 25th, 2023. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. We're coming at you a little later today. Had to run to the grocery store early. In-laws are coming over for my wife's 40th birthday dinner, so just running a little late today, but no harm, no foul. We got a big show with a lot to get to today, so let's get right in it. Let's start with today's Philly Sports Women's History Spotlight. Today, we're going to go back in the way back machine. We're going to spotlight Irene Guest. She was born in 1900 in Philly, and she was one of the pioneers of women's swimming. She swam for the Philadelphia Meadowbrook Swim Club as well as Temple University. In 1920, in the Antwerp Olympic Games, she won a silver medal in the 100-meter freestyle. She came behind her teammate who was just setting all kinds of records that Olympics anyway, so no shame in coming in second for that. They also won the gold in the 4x100 freestyle medley. I guess it wouldn't be a medley, it'd just be the freestyle relay. It was a part of the team that set the world record. Now, why is she a pioneer? Well, this was the first time that the United States allowed women to go swimming. The guy that was in charge of the the U.S. Olympic Committee just was a complete and total douche, and a lot of people back then. I mean, this was right around the time women were just getting the right to vote, so it was really was a huge deal that this team was able to go into the Olympics and really shine and show that women could compete on the same level as the men. So that was the first time, like I said, women from the United States were allowed to go to the Olympics. She is in the International Swimming Hall of Fame as an honorary pioneer. I know a lot of swimmers, both male and female, and I know just how much work goes into that. So shout out to Irene Guest for basically being a trailblazer in the swimming world for women and set the tone. And if you think about it, other than Michael Phelps, a lot of times when the Olympics come on, the women's swimming is like that's where the United States dominate, and like for the most part, like we're way more dominant in women's swimming than we are men's swimming. Same goes with soccer. We talked about Carly Lloyd. So shout out to Irene Guest for helping to just blaze that trail for women all over. All right, so first, I guess we'll start with the Sixers. Late night, I did not get a chance to watch any of it. Tough loss, 120-112. They hung in there, and Embiid had another MVP performance, almost having a triple-double, scoring 46 points. No James Harden. Daniel House was not in. Like they were just shorthanded. And the Warriors are, they're the defending champs, and they got off to a slow start, but they're starting to get into gear. So, I mean, it's a tough game for them. They're back in action tonight against the Suns. Some Eagles news. Lane Johnson has signed a 1-year extension for like 30-some whatever $million. Now, it sounds crazy on the surface, but what it does is it gives him more guaranteed money, so his security is set. Gives Howie some flexibility with the cap this year and spreads that out over the course of some years, like those dummy years that we talk about. But ultimately what it does is it essentially means that Lane Johnson is going to retire as an Eagle. He has said he's had his own issues publicly with mental health and things like that. And he said he only wants to play maybe another 2-3 years. So basically this contract extends it to there. And then if he wants to continue, he's still under contract with the Eagles for a decent amount. So good. I think for the cap flexibility standpoint, it's a good move for Howie. He also signed safety Terrell Edmonds from the Steelers to a 1-year deal. I feel this is a solid pick for them. Provides them with some depth. I don't know if he's necessarily going to be the starter. He has started the past few years for the Steelers and has been, like I said, solid. He's durable. He doesn't really get hurt and miss a lot of games. He's been steadily improving. I do have a friend of mine who is from Pittsburgh, big Steelers fan, basically laughed and said he sucks. I also don't put a lot of effort or a lot of credence into what he says and don't really go by a lot of what he says about Steelers because he's also the guy at fantasy football drafts who will draft everybody from the Steelers. We're going back to a tight end named Ben Gay, who I've still don't even think was a real player. I think he was just looking in his medicine cabinet. But overall, I think a solid move for the Eagles. I think they're not going to be completely done yet. So we'll see what the next moves are. I don't know whether now it's all hands on deck to try to get Jalen signed and then focus on the draft or what. But I still, like I said, Howie is always thinking, always making moves. So you never know what's going to come next from the Eagles. Phillies news: it appears as though they're going to give Derek Hall a shot to get to have most of the first base work, filling in for Reese. So we'll see how that goes. I like Hall. He's made some tweaks over the offseason and shows he's having a strong spring. So I don't think it's necessarily, if he plays, obviously he's not going to be on a Reese level, but if he plays somewhat consistent, I think that the Phillies might be okay with this move. And it was confirmed yesterday that Reese does need surgery. I'm anxious to see how it plays out. It's a shame that he's going to be a free agent and coming off a knee injury, whether or not he'll be back. But still a lot of season to play. A quick follow-up from yesterday. We were talking about the Flyers winning and moving into that sweet spot in the draft. And the way the lottery works for them, the team can't move up more than 10 spots. So that means the Flyers cannot finish any worse than 22nd and still have a chance to get that top pick. Currently, they're 26th by 5 points. So they have a 6.5% chance of winning the lottery. Obviously, the further down the standings they go, basically it goes up by 1% until you get into the top 3 or 4, and then it jumps 2 and then goes up. So they're in a good spot right now. They obviously could be better. We need them to stop winning so we can have somewhat of a shot to do it. I mean, if they're going to fix it, I mean, why not have Bedard come to Philly, one of the big fan bases, historic franchise? I don't know. Wishful thinking. Not that I'm saying it's fixed. I'm just saying if it is, I think it makes sense possibly for him to come to the Flyers. Finally, the Villanova women lost a heartbreaker. I was watching it. They got down early. Miami played like some tough defense. They had a good press going. They got down 21 and battled back and had the lead late, and then just couldn't finish the job. In real life, or I shouldn't say real life, the opposite. In fake life, my bracket is on life support. I have one clear path, or I shouldn't say clear. I have one path to win, and it's definitely going to be tough, but I need Florida Atlantic to win. If that happens, I need Gonzaga to beat UConn. Then I need tomorrow Creighton to beat San Diego State and Miami to beat Texas. So there is another option where if Texas beats Miami, all the first 3 need to happen. But if Texas beats Miami, I need somehow Gonzaga to beat Texas to get to the final. But it's there. It's on life support. Let's keep our fingers crossed. But let's stick with March Madness. We're going to go back today to March 25th, 2005, and it was the Sweet 16 game between the number 5 seed Villanova Wildcats and the number 1 seed United States University of North Carolina. And basically Nova got out to a decent sized lead at halftime. They were up by halftime they were up 4. They were a double digit underdog coming in. Second half, it was battling back and forth between the two teams. They trailed 3 with 9 seconds left, and Alan Ray hit a layup, and he was fouled. And I've looked at this, and I would say if I were you, I would look it up just to see, because I don't know. I can't necessarily tell whether or not, I mean, it's grainy video. He got called for traveling. It doesn't look like a travel, and that completely changed the course of the game because obviously if he hits the foul shot, they tie the game and the whole complexion. It could have been traveling. I will say this, with some of the calls we've seen in this tournament, I don't think they would have called that today as a travel, but I don't know. It's tough. The Nova fans today still will contest that it was a travel, and it definitely would have messed up the flow of their I don't know. They felt that they were coming back and they would have made it a game and beat the Tar Heels in overtime. But in the big picture, Randy Foye had 28 points. Freshman on that team, Kyle Lowry, had 18. Allen Ray, all three of them obviously went to the NBA to play. This was Jay Wright's fourth season with Villanova. So while he was still trying to figure it out, cleaning up some of the Steve Lapis era, he did gain a lot of respect in this game, not only for they were double-digit underdogs, so it shouldn't even have been a close game, but for the way they came out in the first half, the way they battled back in the second half, and just honestly, and I watched some of the Comcast Sportsnet replay. That's where it was a grainy video, so check it out and let me know what you think, if it's a travel or not. But Jay Wright, the way he handled it, he gained a lot of respect nationally for this game. And as much as I'm not necessarily the biggest Villanova guy, I do respect Jay Wright and the way he handled it with grace and just saying, look, we put ourselves in this position. You can't focus on one call. And, I mean, he could have went out there ranting and raving about it. So, but unfortunately, would not be for for Villanova. North Carolina would go on to win the national championship that year. It would be a few more years before Jay Wright did get to the Final Four, and then a few more years after that before he finally would win the national championship. But for now, on this day back in 2005, the North Carolina Tar Heels beat the Villanova Wildcats in the Sweet 16. I believe it was by a point. I think it was 67-66, 68-67, something like that, because then Villanova got a shot late. But shout out to Irene Guest. Let's get out and support Derek Hall. Let's hope that my buddy from Pittsburgh is wrong about Terrell Edmonds, and he's a solid fill-in for this year. Glad to see Lane is going to retire as an Eagle. Let's have the Flyers keep losing. Go Sixers versus the Sun tonight. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History. I'm Jim Montgomery. Go have yourselves a Saturday, and until next time, I'll see you when I see you.